Alright pilots, Nick's here again, and this is going to be our last video for the beginner's guides for the A10C2. So this is going to be a mission. It's just a flat out mission, and we're going to read the situation right now together. So the situation is, our sortie today is going to be a CAS, close air support, of Hammer's attack on an enemy FOB, or forward operating base, designated Kindling. We will be the tip of the spear to start of this strike. The enemy has some Shilka and Strela units guarding the skies around their base. There is also a limited heavy armor and some light armor assets and large guns in the area along with personnel. Hammer will lie in wait until we hit the Strelas and Shilka with our opening salvo, signaling the attack for Hammer. We will then provide close air support over the target area as we see fit. During the operation, our main targets will also be to rubble the enemy infrastructure and their underground headquarters. Good luck, pilots. Alright, so we're just going to jump into this mission. We're going to look at our AWACS map. We do have a AWACS up in the air, and we're going to see what we can kind of see from there, and we're going to equip what we're going to equip. We're going to make the choice ourselves. We're going to set up our own waypoints, and then we're going to just fly the mission. And whatever happens, happens. If I get blown up, I get blown up. That's going to be the end of the video. But we're just going to use the skills we've learned in all the beginner's guides, plus a few new ones. So in the guide so far, I haven't showed you how to get into your CDU and manually program waypoints and mark points in. I showed you how to make them with your Jehemics and stuff like that, but we're going to actually plan out our own briefing here, and then we're going to execute that mission. So here we go. This is also going to be a one cut. I'm not going to edit this video from the time I started recording until the mission is over, and then I'm going to stop recording. There's going to be no extra takes. This is a one take show. So like I said, if we plan the mission and we don't do very well, that's just the way it crumbles. We're still going to try to utilize all those skills that we've used and learned in this mission. So we're going to grab our 1A10. There's our AWACS right there. And we are in Syria today. Just let it all pop in. Alright, so we're sitting here on the tarmac. Oh, it looks like we've already got a loadout though, at least. And let's see if we see anything. Alright, so okay, here is Kindling. And we can see they've got a decent amount of enemy units here. They do have some tanks. They've got some Strelas. I do see there's two Strelas on guard duty right there, and there's a Shilka. There's also a Strela on this patrol, and they've got quite a few guns and personnel down here. Got some trucks. Yeah, these are heavy. These are trucks mounted with heavy guns. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna check our loadout and see if we want to change it. And to open the whole strike up, we need to target these units first. So as soon as these go up, that should signal the attack, unless something goes wrong. So first off, let's check our loadout here. Looks like we've got 2 penetrator JDAMs, 2,000 pounders. That's good. That's to those are the bunker busters to take the underground headquarters. Looks like we've got 6 GBU-12 laser guided bombs. That'll be good. We can take out factories, tanks, all kinds of stuff. We've got 4 Mavericks. That's our standoff weapons. So we'll be using those to strike. That'll be the opening salvo, is to strike the 2 Strelas and the Shilka, and maybe even the other Strela if we can get a good target on them in that first salvo. If not, we'll just go from there. And then we've got some AIM-9 Mike Sidewinders and our Lightning Pod, and we do have 7 Predator rockets. So we're loaded for bear. We're good to go. We got plenty of stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. Battery on, inverters. APU generator. Turning on the APU. And AC gens are on. Oxygen is on. Gotta let the APU charge up. Alright, and let's go ahead and bring up our left engine first. We're also, now that we've got the APU generator is giving us power, we're going to go ahead and turn on our CDU and let it run its own bit. And it's going to run its internal INS alignment while we're doing all this. And that takes a little while, so I usually start it right here at the start. Alright, we're past the 35% mark, so that's a good start. Just wait for it to stabilize. And then we will kick on the right engine. There we go, we see the temp bop down. We're at about 58%, good to go, and right engine. So now we're also getting power from our left generator, so we are generating more power, so we can start bringing some systems on. So we'll go radio, radio, radio. We'll bring up our stabilizers. Boost pumps are already on. Alright, we're past the mark. We're good. Going electric on our altimeter. Both of our screens booting up. Right gen is now generating power, so we're now generating all of our own electricity.
Overlord 1-1, passing waypoint 1 at 30,000.
There's our AWACS on station. We're going to kill the APU generator and the APU.
Overlord 1-1, on station at ball 02.
Turn on our Jehemics. Get all of our console lights and everything just the way we want it. However you like yours is the way it should be. And we're just booting everything up. We can go ahead and put our flaps down to half here. We'll need that for takeoff. In DCS it doesn't actually work, but we'll go ahead and turn on our IFF on just like we would in real life. Alright, DTS is up, let's load it. This loads up, this would be loading up the cartridge. We don't use the cartridge in DCS, but in real life this would be what was happening. You'd get your briefing and you'd load it all in. That way the computer knows all the weapons you have, all the waypoints you have, all the radios you have preset, all that stuff would all come in on the DTS load. Okay, so DTS is loaded. We go to the DSMS. We can see our page is up. Verify our loadout for Mavericks. We got 6 GBU-12 laser guided 500-pound bombs and 2 GBU-31 penetrator head JDAMs. Bunker busters. 4 AIM-9, 7 Predator rockets. We're looking good there. We'll hit CDU and we'll keep an eye on this. So our INS is right now internally doing its alignment. When you see it start blinking, then we'll be good to go. And because we turned on the CDU fairly early, it shouldn't take too much longer, to be honest. We should be getting pretty close. Alright, turn on our anti-skid. Arm our seat. We can go ahead and bring the cockpit down and get the air conditioning going, right? We're out here in the desert. It's probably pretty hot. We can turn on our RWR. I like to run mine in manual. We did not bring a pod this time, because we know there's no enemy radar SAMs in the area. They just have SHORAD Strelas. So we're not going to need our jamming pod, and we're not expecting any air-to-air activity for this mission, which is very realistic in real life. You usually don't send helicopters and hogs into the battlefield if you don't already have air superiority. It does happen, of course, but for the most part, the hogs and the Apaches aren't coming in until air superiority is already something that has been taken off the field. We've already got control of the sky above. Alright, we're going to leave our CDU in mission. We're not going to mess with mark points this time because we just have one mission and the base is static. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull a GPS coordinate off of our map, and then we're going to program that in as our single waypoint. That way we can get all of our sensors right onto that area before we're even close to it. Okay, there we go. INS, we're done. So we're going to come down here. We're going to switch our CD over to navigation, and then we can switch our EGI on, because this is a new age hog and we use full INS GPS now. I'm going to come down here and we'll go ahead and use E program, because that's my generic program for everything. We're going to hold down message to bring up our thing, and we're going to throw our TADs down here on the right because it's a personal preference. And zoom out just a little bit. Okay, now let's go ahead, and this is going to be something new. Let's pull a GPS coordinate so that we have a good SPI for the base. I'm not going to put it on a unit. I'm just going to kind of set it right out here, and then we can use our targeting pod from here. And the way to do this on the map is you hold down your left control, and then you just click the map. I'm sorry, our left alt. I don't know why I said control. You hold down left alt and click the map, and that's going to bring the coordinates of that exact dot in the world. We'll come back here. I use lat long decimal minutes because that's what I'm used to, because I'm an old disabled pilot. But you can use whatever you prefer as long as the interface you're using can take it. So not all vehicles can take, you know, metric. Not all can use MGRS grid, so on and so forth. Lat long decimal minutes is pretty standard though, so that's one of the reasons why I just use that. So let's lock my head tracking down. Alright, now we're going to come up. System, we got nav, waypoints. So we want waypoints, and we're going to select waypoints. This is the initial position you see right here. So this is the waypoint that was created as soon as we booted up and did our INS alignment. This is the starting position. So we're going to go ahead and click right here, and that's going to rotate to the first custom one, MSN 001. And we're going to put in our lat long. So first we do north, which will be 3552-641. And we put that in north. And for easterling, we have to put a 0 in first with decimal minutes. So it'll be 0, and then 3712038. And that'll be easterling. And that's it. We don't have to put, if we wanted to put more waypoints, we could do that. You could just click right here on the number 2, and it's going to cycle over to MSN 002, and you could put in that information. I'm not going to click on that right now because that will put a computer waypoint in for that. And let's unlock the head tracking. And if you bring up your not the AWACS map, if we look on our map here, you can see now we've got a number 1 right there. And that is our waypoint that we just created. Now if we soy the HUD, you can see we're at initial starting position here. I'm going to hit DMS up short, and we went to MSN 001. And then we look right out in front of us, and there it is right there. There's our cake. So that's the enemy base. We're all booted up, we're all started up, all systems are go. Turn our pitot on. And we are ready to taxi. Oh, did they give me wheel chocks? They did. I really hate the wheel chocks. I remember they put that into a patch, and I'm like, oh yay, they gave us wheel chocks that we have to remember to remove now.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks.
Alright, so
Copy.
let's see where we're at.
Wheel chocks are now removed.
Alright, so we are going to go left and come right around to the start of the runway. We're going to fly up, we're going to get up here into our perch, and then we're going to use our targeting pod to find our starting salvo targets. And you know, our troops are not going to attack until we do that opening salvo and take out the 2 Strellas and the Shilka. That's key to this whole mission. Make sure to turn on your nose wheel steering. Whoa. Well, that would be kind of funny to end the video right there because we ran into a ladder. So I'm just going to do this as I normally would. I'm not going to try to do anything super fancy. I'm just going to try to do the mission right. I want to take out the all the units properly and quickly and efficiently so that we have the least amount of loss of life on our side. Because once I salvo this shot off and we tilt and I take out both Strellas and the Shilka, our team is going to commence to attack. So after that, it's all going to be fluid. I don't necessarily have a plan. Shit's just going to go down and I've got to react to it, which is the way it's going to work in almost all situations when you're flying in DCS. So if you're on a multiplayer server, if you're on a dynamic war campaign, which is one of the, you know, I play a lot of those, like Return of Free Contact and stuff, you never know what's going to happen. You just have to take it all as it comes make split decisions as best you can and try to survive and do the best you can do. Let's get our laser on, our targeting pod, start warming up. Once we get in the air, we'll go ahead and turn our Mavericks on because they take 3 minutes to warm up. You just don't want to turn them on too early because the longer those things are on, the worse they get at locking contrast because they start getting too hot and they burn up. So you'll have a lot of trouble locking if you've had those Mavericks running for an extended period of time. If you're not going to use them for a while, shut them down. Alright, half flaps. Everything else is a go. Let's hit to it. I've got butterflies just a little bit, knowing that if I screw this up, I am not going to reshoot it. I'm not going to cut it. That's just going to be what it's going to be. This is a one-take video. Whoa. That wind is a little bit worse than I expected it to be. Alright, and we're rotating at 150. We are very heavy. We're fully loaded here. We're going to bring the gear up right away. I'm not going to give it too much nose up right now because we're so heavy. I want to kind of build up a little bit of speed. I'm going to leave the flaps down to half just for a little bit. When we get up to closer to 200 knots, I'll bring them up. And we're just going to slowly climb out. We know the base is out there, like 20 miles away. Alright, let's bring those flaps up now. And we're just going to gradually climb up for now. Take in the Syrian sights. So we just took off from Aleppo. That's why this city, we're around this huge city. This is Aleppo in northern Syria. Very big city. This enemy fob is way out here south. It looks like they're staging an attack into the Aleppo area. So that's why we got to thwart this. Alright, let's go ahead and get our master arm on. Get the gun WASD down. We're not going to use the gun pack because I don't have a good stick at the moment. And again, I'm not going to cut this, so there's going to be a little bit of dead air. I'll try to keep talking as long as I got stuff to talk about. For now, though, we need to get up to altitude. Our first shots, we want to have a decent amount of altitude and a good angle on these first shots, because it is the key to the whole mission, is this first salvo being a 3-shot Maverick salvo that removes both Strelas and the Shilka from play completely before we even start the battle. I know there's one other Strela that's going to be at play, but the ground units might take it out. We do have ground forces that are going to be on call here to commence this attack. So we just really need to make sure we get those first 2 Strelas and the Shilka out of play immediately. And then we'll just go from there. If the enemy starts pushing onto our troops' position, then we'll just react to that. We have a lot of bombs. We've got a lot of laser-guided bombs. We've got a gun. We'll have to, as quickly as we can, I mean, in my head, I'm kind of already creating plans in my head of what I want to happen. I might not be able to do it in the exact order I want to, but as quickly as I can after I get rid of those Strelas and stuff, I need to get these 2 JDAMs off the belly because they're extremely heavy. I need to get those, and I need to blast the enemy headquarters that are underground with those penetrators, because that will put the enemy into chaos for 1, because that's all their command structures underground in that bunker. And for 2, I need to get rid of the weight, because I really don't know what's going to happen once we kick this off. Alright, let's see if the targeting pod is... Oh, we need to bring our Mavericks up. Start warming those up. And let's get our targeting pod up. Targeting pod is up, so we're going to soy it. And we are going to slave it. We've already gone through all those commands and controls, so I'm just going to assume you know how to do all that stuff. If you don't, watch those first videos. They don't have to be my videos. If you prefer somebody else's videos, watch those videos. As long as you get the information you need and you start loving aviation, I'm all for it. Alright, we're up to almost 8,000 feet, so we're making good time. Let's have a look at what we see here. So I can see the Strelas right there. We've already got eyes on the Strelas. That Shelka's right there in the middle. So we'll go from left to right. Just got to make sure I don't get behind the factory when I'm ready to start shooting. But I'd like to get up to about 10,000 feet before we start making any kind of maneuvering. Plus we have to wait a few minutes for our Mavericks to finish heating up. So we're just gonna, and we're on an area track, so it's gonna go to inertial track. We don't have to worry about gimbal rolling and messing up our targeting pod. We're just gonna make a nice little loop around. We're killing time and gaining some altitude while we do it. Five degrees should get us close to 10,000 feet when we come around. And we're still good. We're still a good, how many? We're 20 miles out. So we'll have plenty of time to make sure we get our shots. Hardest part is going to be like these tents right here. In reality, like if I wanted to do this as perfectly as I wanted to, I would fly all the way to the south and come back from the south to the north, where there's less obstacles in the way for my Mavericks to want to latch on to. But we're going to make do. I think we'll be fine. And there's a lot of enemy infrastructure there on the base, but we're not worried about all of that. We're worried about what we can eliminate for the ground troops. So they don't have JDAMs. We do. So we're going to make sure those JDAMs go in that base. We've got GBU-12s. We're going to make sure those go onto the factory and their comms center so that we can silence them. And of course take out their leadership. Alright, we're coming around. Let's get our Mavericks selected. It's 5 seconds, so we're about ready to kick this off, and everything's going to start happening fast once we get these shots off. So let's get nose on. So one thing we could do, because there is a fourth Strela there, is we could try to get the first shot off on that moving Strela, and then the other three are static, so they'll be a lot easier to shoot, but we're not going to have very much time to do all that, but I think we can pull it off. Alright, we're locked in, so let's see if we can find that Strela. There she is right there. That's BMP. Looks like a BR. That's the Strela right there. She does not want to lock though, does she? Yeah, that's a T-55 tank, so that's definitely a Strela. Gotcha. Alright, we got that Strela. And slaving. Oh. Gotta love it when that happens. Try that again. That is the Strela right there. Gotcha. Well, that's interesting. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me reset it one more time. I know I set it for the speed, but it doesn't seem to be taking. And this is shit you got to deal with on the fly, so we're getting really close though, so we need to do this quick. Alright, it's set. There we go. We got it. We got it. We got it. Snap to target. We've got it. Rifle. Alright, now we need to find... There's our Strela there. rifle. Now we're just going to come in here and we're going to do this by hand on these next ones. Rifle. Rifle. We got it. We got it. All right, we're off left. And we are flaring and chaffing. We're going to reset our pod here and get it off of there so we don't gimbal roll it. Boom, there's the Strela. We got the first Strela. So now we just need, there was another Strela. Another Strela, and now we just need the Shilka. Oh, there we go. Overlord to hammer, commence attack. Hog 1, commence strikes on enemy headquarters and infrastructure. Support hammer. Alright. So that was very successful. Okay, you see that X down there? Those are the friendly troops. They're on data link. And it looks like they're engaging that patrol right now. That patrol pulled off the road and is now engaging our troops that was hiding in that town right there. So, next thing we need to do right away is we're going to take out that ground bunker right there. So, SPI is set. Alright, let me deal with my trim for a second here. Alright, let's roll in. Alright, and we're up here pretty high, and that's fine. We want to stay up here for a little bit to get all these big drops off. Alright, we're in the zone. We're going to hold it for just a couple more seconds. Make sure this JDAM's got room to work. Boom, JDAM away. I can't tell if that's the other underground bunker right there next to it. Kaboom! Command center is done. Alright, perfect. So, we gotta move out now. I need to get a better view. I thought there was one other underground command FARP there. And we still have one JDAM that's making it real fun to try to fly right now. Although, if you put your JDAMs like I did on the middle, close to the center line, it's not so bad when you just drop one. If you have them a little farther out on the wing and you just drop one, it makes it pretty unwieldy to fly for a little bit. You've got to mess with your trim quite a bit. Oh, look at that. There is a battle going on. See those explosions? One of the enemy tanks just got hit. Our troops are engaging the enemy. Alright, we're down to 10,000 feet. We're going to get parallel, and I need to spot that next base. And the faster we move, the better it is for our troops. Because they're depending on us to take out all this big stuff. There's the little FARP right there. Okay. That's what we're looking for. Marked. Rolling in. We're going to put our other penetrator right through that bunker. Hopefully our troops haven't been shot up too much, but they're getting shot, so. Every time we come around, we need to be dropping ordnance on enemy positions and keeping the pressure on them. Looking good. 5 seconds to drop, and again I'm gonna overpass the drop point just a little bit. Give that JDAM more room to work. Bombs away. Flying right over a cloud, so that might mask our view a little bit, but we'll know when the explosion hits, I'm sure. Actually, let's watch. Kaboom, right? Beautiful, beautiful. Alright, we've got a whole bunch of GBU-12 laser guided bombs. So let's get them selected and ready to go. We're going to come down a little bit lower now, because now we need to start seeing what's going on. So we need to drop the factory, and we need to drop the comm center. Let's get the comm center next. We'll just go ahead and move our SPI while we're maneuvering using our Jehemics. That looks pretty good. Go parallel, that's pretty good. There's the comm center, there's the building. Let's mark it right about there. And we're going to use our master mode to go to CCRP, and we're rolling in. I'm going to readjust that a little bit. There we go. It's already coming down. I'm holding down the pickle. One bomb away. Turning the laser on a little early because I was a little off. It wasn't the best drop, but we're high enough up that, oh. Alright, so right now I'm letting off on the gas and I'm getting nose down because I'm up in those clouds. And I don't want to mask my laser, so I'm going to get down below those clouds. Good stuff, good stuff. We're back on the throttle. I'm not sure if that comm center is down. Looks like it hit. We got to get verification really quick. Looks like a pretty nice fire down there. I'm going to say I don't see the comm tower up in the air anymore. Look at that fire. That was a great bomb. Looks like our troops have taken care of the rest of that armor convoy. Alright, let's get verification. Oh, it's just rubble. Alright, we got a factory. And let's just come right... Well, we need a little bit more distance, so we're going to come back around. I want to get done things quickly and efficiently, of course, because that's... Oh, I got to turn my laser off, because that saves lives. It also takes enemy lives, but I want to take theirs and not lose any of ours. But I don't want to get so fast that I make mistakes and we drop bombs and miss targets. So you want to be fast and efficient, but you also want to be smart and productive. And so far this is actually working out better than I expected. I was just going to let one of the Strela in the convoy keep going, but I figured it'd be better to take it out in the opening salvo as well. Luckily that worked out. It could have not worked out. We got lucky that for some reason it wasn't registering my SPI right away when I had it on moving target, but it did the third time. Alright, here we go. Rolling in on bombing run for the factory. Alright, that looks good, so we're just waiting for our donut to start dropping. That's a pretty good lineup. I gotta get lower. Man, that cloud layer is kind of low, which is going to cause me to prematurely bank in. I'm going to turn the laser on now early because we had to lose a bunch of altitude. Say cheese. Nice, nice. Keep the pressure up, hammer. We also have spotted 2 Hinds coming into the AO hot. Okay, laser is off. Now we got to worry about 2 Hinds coming in. Hinds are very, very dangerous to the troops on the ground and us. And I think, is that a Hind right there? That's a Hind right there. We got one right there circling. Looks like he's actually circling around for us. So we're going to go to standby on our targeting pod. And let's just take a look at what we got going on. I'm going to hold down my master mode and go to air. Now, I don't want to go head to head with a hind, but if he's going to get out in the open to where I have a downward shot at him, then I might take that. I don't know what he's got loaded. Oh, I also don't see him anymore. Where'd he go? Damn, I lost him. Well, that's not good. Alright, we're gonna have to stay up here and look down and see if we can spot him. I definitely don't want a hind buzzing around. Wow, I'm serious. I don't see that guy at anywhere. I thought that might be him right there, but I don't think it is. If it is, he ain't moving. Which, by the way, it's really hard to spot things, but this is how you have to do it. So what you're looking for is movement, which can also make helicopters really hard to spot if they slow down and stay around trees and other things that can clutter their outline. That's what I do when I'm flying a helicopter. You better believe it. All of our main targets are shacked out, so now we're basically just supporting our troops on the ground down there in that tree line. Looks like there's a little bit of a standoff. I can see a lot of troops down here. There's an outpost here. There's some trucks and other stuff here and people. But I don't want to dive down there and start lighting up with the gun to give them some support without knowing where these hinds are. Because a hind can definitely ruin... We do have an AWACS in the air. Let's see if the AWACS can give us a bogey dope, maybe.
Overlord 1-1. In field 1. Request bogey dope.
Nothing? Oh, there's two hinds down there, alright. I'm just not seeing them. But we do have the AWACS up. They are showing up on the map. It's showing one right over here. I don't know why I can't see the sucker though. He's like right in front of me. Oh gosh, there he is right there. There he is right there. Box 2. Damn, went for flares already. Well, that trimmed him. Let's hope he goes down. I hit him with 30 mil. That
Enfield 1, Overlord 1.
Did not do it.
Pop-up group 354, Fort 1 at 3000.
You see, those hinds were coming up, though. They're actually coming up here trying to get me. So we need to try to stay higher than them, because that's where they're not going to be able to follow us, is up. He's shooting. Okay, he doesn't have a tail anymore. Here's his buddy. This is a mistake. I should not be down here at their level. Got him with the gun. Oh yeah, we shredded him. Alright. Yeah, he's lost control. Alright, we got the hinds. Let's go in and help we gotta help our boys now. That was good stuff. That could have worked out way worse. You see how they flared all of my AIM 9 mics off. Those were AIM 9 mics. Those are good ones, but they can still be flared off. And Hinds can be really hard. Helicopters can be really hard to hit with infrared missiles. And I'll tell you why. Helicopters' exhaust is, they're called IR deflectors. So it points the exhaust right up through the rotor blades, which dissipates the IR signature of the helicopter. So the flares from a helicopter are actually way more effective than a jet's or an airplane's flares. So it can be really hard. A radar missile, you have a lot more luck, but again, it can be hard to lock a radar onto a helicopter. So a lot of times a gun is your best bet, but then you risk them shooting back. Alright, let's get back into position. We still have gas and we've still got bombs and we got to use them. Alright, soy the targeting pod and slave it. There's the outpost. Looks like there's some guys around there. We've got trucks and guys everywhere. It looks like our boys have been doing some work though. A lot of those guys on the ground look like they're laying down, to say. But there is a big gun on that truck right there, so... And we're marking. GBU-12's up. Coming around. Well, some of the butterflies are going away after we survived the 2 Hinds without dying. And CCRP up. I was definitely nervous about, you know, missing a Strela and taking a shore rat up the tailpipe like right away after the first pass. Stuff like that, it happens. Holding down and pickle.
Pull up, pull up.
Give it a second. Laser on, and we're going to reposition the laser a little bit. Which is nice, you can reposition the laser, you know, GPS bombs, JDAMs, once you let them go, they're going to where they're going to go. That's going to land right through that truck. Oof. That looked... Oh, no, those troops were... Whoa, I'm getting shot at. See those tracers coming up? Those guys are not dead. They are moving around and shooting guns. That bomb took out a bunch of them, though. Got secondary explosions now. Alright, let's move this over here and find another truck and get a bomb down there in those guys. There we go. Truck with a big gun on it. Alright, that is marked as our speed. We're coming back around. And we're holding down. Bombs away. Laser is on. Repositioning to make sure it goes right on that guy's lap that's sitting on that turret. We're chaffing and flaring. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Laser off. What do we got left? We got two big bombs left. Let's go ahead and see if we can hit that outpost because we haven't hit it yet at all. I'm not going to drop GBUs on small groups of men when we've got armor and personnel in the trees there. This is going to end up being a really successful mission. That makes me happy. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Kind of showing how you can take all those skills that we've been working on and kind of put them into practice. It's not always going to work out this smooth, but a lot of times it doesn't work out smooth at all. But you definitely try to each time. Alright, there's the outpost. Boy, I need a new hostess. Alright, marked as SPE. We got to get a little bit more distance. I don't want to cramp my attack run that much. See, after that, we don't want to linger too long because we've gotten rid of all of our air-to-air defense now. We fired all 4 of our AIM-9s. We don't want to be stuck out here with a fast mover or more helicopters with no air-to-air missiles left. So we want to get rid of this ordnance to help our guys out, and then we'll RTB. Now in real life, we would stay on station as a show of force for as long as we could buy fuel. And then when we started getting low, a new flight would be coming in behind us, hopefully. Not always, but that would be the way it would be planned out. That smoke's kind of in the way, isn't it? It looks good. We're rolling in. We're going to give them 2. Actually, I can't. I'd have to profile that. Lasers on. Let's aim it right here on this building. Right there, right through the front door. Oh. Darn clouds. Nice. Very nice. One more bomb. Gotta find ourselves a good target. I think most of the major threats are pretty much down. You know what we could do is we could drop 1 GBU right in the middle of those personnel tents. I don't know what's in there, but it's nothing that we want. Yeah, let's just put a 500-pounder right in the middle of all their barracks. Mark right there. Been dropping a lot of ordnance. I'm gonna slow up for just a second and retrim myself. That way I'm not fighting my aircraft. Come back around. We're going to drop this last GBU 12, and then we're going to do a couple of gun runs through the personnel that are in those open fields, and we will RTB out after that. That'll be a hell of a successful run. Hopefully we didn't lose any troops on the ground. We're just going to assume that we didn't lose anybody and everything just went perfectly. Until you get to the debriefing, right? All right. Perfect. As soon as I kick this bomb off the rail, we're going to turn the laser on immediately. We're at 6,000 feet. Alright, holding down the pickle. Pickle away, laser is on. Oh, that got them all. Good night. All right, master mode guns. Time to clean it up.
Pull up, pull up.
Alright, one more pass. We'll go south to north and RTB back home. This mission will be done when we land and we're shut down cold. And we have survived. Because you never know. Trust me, there might be a guy down there with a man pad. You might think you've got everything taken care of, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a little igla comes up behind you and smokes you. A lot of times you can survive an igla hit, depending. And you can survive quite a few hits in an A10, but you're not invincible by any means. Oh, that was it. We don't have no ammo. Look at that. We spent a lot on those Hinds, of course. Hey, those shots hit that truck, though. There we go. Give a show of force over the battlefield for our boys on the ground. And good luck, gentlemen. And laser is off. Targeting pod, stand by. TAD's up. And we're going to switch our waypoint to initial starting point. And there's home base at Aleppo right there. We're going to call it in.
Infield 1, inbound.
Let's get our... Let's see how much is left. Oh, look at that. Wow. We actually really did tear them up. There is not much left down here. Let's see how many troops did we lose. Ah, it's looking pretty clean over here. They did pretty good on that convoy too. Oh yeah, man, this place is just charred wreckage. Nice. I will take that all day long. That is much better than I actually expected this mission to go. I mean, I expected we'd definitely get some shacks and we'd definitely get a, do a good job, but I didn't necessarily expect to win the whole thing. I didn't necessarily expect to have everything hit. Although our air-to-air shots didn't work out, we had to try, of course. But that's good, That shows, that it's not always going to work out. But those results are much better than I would have even hoped. That point looks eradicated. Nothing left now but the landing. Now I know I still had some Predator rockets and I could probably have killed whatever's left down there on the ground, but we've got troops on the ground. They can finish that off. They can handle it. And I like to keep my Predator rockets on board and not shoot them for two reasons. One, you're not supposed to shoot Predator rockets unless you have to because they're super expensive. And for two, I put them right there on that point because of that really heavy litning pod there. So that's my ballast. It really helps balance out the litning pod. That's also why when I'm running an ECM pod, the ECM pod will be on this side, the opposite side of the litning pod. That way I'm not overloading one wing too much. Alright, we're idle. Start slowing down. We're just going to roll into the runway and do a straight in. So we just go to idle, start slowing down, get down to about 180 knots, and then we can start bringing down some flaps, get some gear coming out. All in all, a great mission. This would be the kind of stuff I do on stream, except it's on like I play a lot on like Return to Pre-Contact, Burning Skies, some Enigma's Cold War, Contention, a lot of dynamic war servers. I just like getting on and seeing how the war's going, and you know, doing my part as best I can. I'll take stock of the map when I first log in and go from there. Alright, so gears coming down, flaps are coming down. We're still kind of idle. We're going to slowly let the speed come down because we're so close to the runway here, and we're just going to roll into a short final. Start giving her some throttle now. We're pretty high, so I'm not going to give it too much throttle because we're going to gain speed. I'm idle again because we're going to have to drop the nose down to get down here. Right now, if I was to set up on speed and get my flight vector onto where I want to land, we'd be coming in very steep. So, on speed is the way you land, but only if you're at the correct, you know, height and angle to not slam into the ground. Because when you're on speed, your flight vector, you're going to set it to where it's going to be on where you want to land, not necessarily the correct angle of it.
Altitude.
So now we're looking pretty good. We're not high. We're low enough. We're on speed now. We're just going to give it a little bit of throttle so we can bring our flight vector up closer to the skid marks there. Right now I'm not using the stick at all. We are just using the throttle. A little bit more power. Bring that flight vector up a little higher. There we go. Now we're just going to run it on speed. Then we're going to go ahead and soften the blow a little bit, and we're idle. We're just going to let it come right down. Smooth as a jewel. Keep the nose up for a little bit just to aero brake. These planes don't have the best brakes, and you can burn up the brakes, so aero brake when you can. And that was one heck of a base assault. I would take those results any day of the week. Mainly because we didn't die, and it didn't look like we lost too many troops either, but also because we really had an excellent ratio of bombs and connections. Alright, slowing down. Go ahead and kick on the nose wheel steering. Taxi off the runway. And if this was a dynamic war server, we would be super happy and we'd be talking with our chat about how good that was and laughing about all the mistakes I made. Which you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make tons of mistakes. You're going to make mistakes all the time because it's a dynamic world when you're up in the sky flying jets and in battle. It's extremely dynamic, so no decision is ever perfect. You just got to make the best decision you can and execute that decision as best you can. That's the key. You can have a bad decision, but still execute it well and survive and get a good outcome. So don't worry about trying to become the best decision maker. Just become really good at executing those decisions, and you will kind of become a better decision maker as you go, the more experience you have. Alright, we'll go ahead and pop the canopy. I think that turn off should be... Whoop. That turn off should be right up here, I believe. Alright, let's bring the flaps back up to half. Actually, we'll go ahead and dock them. Alright, here's our turn off. And I'm not sure what our next video is going to be. The one people have been telling me that they want to see me do the systems on next and munitions drops and all that is the Hornet. So I'm probably going to start doing the Hornet next. We've already done the cold start and the takeoff, landing, and flight model somewhat of the Hornet. So we'll probably start getting into some munitions with the Hornet. We'll probably start with SEAD. We'll do some harms. and then we'll move on to CCIP drops, just like we did in the A-10, and then we'll move into JDAMs and lasers. Eventually we'll get into air-to-air, so the Hornet's got a lot more stuff it can do than the A-10, so we'll get into BVR, and then we'll get into BFM, utilizing the HEMIX for high-off bore sight heater missiles, stuff of that nature. We'll fire AMRAAMs, Fox 3s, we'll fire Fox 1 Sparrows, and we'll fire AIM-9 Fox 2s. Then of course we'll get into harpoons. Got to do some anti-ship. We'll go ahead and teach harpoons as a beginner. Probably not get into slammers and stuff, and doing coordinates for that. That'll be an advanced lesson later on. But for beginners, we can show you how to do harpoons the easy way. And you'll be able to start sinking ships right off the bat. All right, let's get her shut down. Alright, turn off the HEMIX. Drop the CDU. Pull the engines down. Inverters off, generators off. Already on pneumatic, and power off. Alright, pilots, thank you for learning about the A-10C2. I'll probably get into some more advanced lessons with these aircraft later on, but these are the beginner's guides. If you watch all the beginner's guides, you should have a much better grasp on everything, and you should be able to do exactly what I just did for this mission, and do it well. Just keep practicing. You'll start getting better. You're going to learn a lot more than I've taught you in these videos. Again, these are beginners videos, but this is a great starting point. This really gets your foot in the door. If you learn these things and utilize them, you're going to start getting warheads on foreheads. You're going to feel good about it. It's going to give you that boost you want. It's going to make it seem a lot easier than it might have felt before, where sometimes getting into a new plane is very daunting, especially if you don't know anything about aviation. Then it's super daunting. So I hope these really help you get going, and I hope it makes you love aviation as much as I do. If you ever have any questions, drop in on a stream. I'm streaming all the time, Nick's 1978, usually for 5 or 6 hours each night if I can. You can also reach me at the Discord, which if you're on a stream, just exclamation point Discord in the chat, and that'll give you an invite. Everybody's welcome to join the Discord until you're not, but everyone's welcome to join. There's no fees or anything weird like that. Just everyone's welcome to join. We want more people to be into aviation and flying. There's also other things like Star Citizen and all that stuff, but I mainly dabble with DCS. And of course the YouTube channel. And there's an email for the Twitch channel that you can email me directly. And I will see everybody later. See you in the skies, pilots.